a nasty biatch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres. Her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson. You were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. And she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out of Hollywood.
Ellen DeGeneres was once America's beloved talk show host, known for her kindness and humor. But her public image took a massive hit after a viral interview with Dakota Johnson. In the exchange, Ellen accused Dakota of not inviting her to a party, only for Dakota to call her out, revealing that Ellen had actually declined the invite. This incident sparked a wave of backlash, with many recalling their own negative experiences with Ellen. What followed was an avalanche of accusations exposing her as rude and dismissive, ultimately leading to a larger conversation about her behavior both on and off camera.
She was said to be a nasty biatch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
So her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, I had this birthday party, and Ellen said, well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me. And she said, no, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened. And Ellen had blown her off and then tried to play the victim on the set with her.
Comedian Rob Schneider appeared on Megyn Kelly's show and did not hold back in his criticism of Ellen. He exposed her hypocrisy, particularly how she attempted to regain public favor despite overwhelming negative press. Megyn also went in on Ellen's desperate attempts at a comeback, making it clear that people were not buying her narrative. Together, they highlighted the downfall of Ellen's career, pointing out that her mistreatment of others had finally caught up with her, and no amount of staged apologies or PR moves could undo the damage that had already been done.
Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person. And all these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person.
One of the most shocking revelations came from former employees and acquaintances who shared their personal horror stories of working with Ellen. Some staffers revealed that they were not even allowed to make eye contact with her in the hallways. Others recounted how Ellen would micromanage even the smallest details, such as an employee's chipped nail polish, which nearly got them fired. These accounts painted a picture of someone who was not just difficult to work with, but outright cruel, fostering a work environment that was filled with fear and intimidation. The backlash against Ellen only grew stronger when multiple employees and guests started coming forward with similar complaints. The toxicity behind the scenes of the Ellen DeGeneres show was no longer just an internet rumor. It was a reality confirmed by those who had experienced it firsthand. The overwhelming negative press eventually forced the show to be canceled. Once a daytime television staple, Ellen's talk show went from being one of the most watched programs to an example of how quickly public perception can shift when the truth comes out.
So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming back. She's got a Netflix special. That's the right response.
Yeah.
She's got a Netflix special. And here's the capper. On the promo, and apparently there's now articles out about from people who have seen the preview, she plays the victim. And she says, poor me. And she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out of Hollywood. This person...
With $100 million in her pocket.
$450 million, according to Forbes. That's a low estimate.
Yeah.
Because, so now she's out there saying, I was run out of Hollywood. She's actually reportedly complaining about how hard it is for women.
Despite everything, Ellen was not ready to fade into obscurity. In April, she announced a comeback via a Netflix special. However, her attempt at a return to the spotlight did not sit well with many, including Megyn Kelly. Megyn called out Ellen for playing the victim, sarcastically pointing out how Ellen, with her massive fortune, was trying to claim she had been unjustly run out of Hollywood. This attempt at rebranding herself as a victim only fueled more criticism, as people found it hard to sympathize with someone who had built an empire, yet refused to acknowledge their past mistakes.
About how hard it is for women in America with the double standards.
Look at Oprah, how hard it is for her.
Oh, She's got, like 10 houses, Ellen DeGeneres?
Michelle Obama. Look how hard it is for women in America. They're hurting.
They're going to let her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows. Nastiness, that's their bread and butter.
Ellen's estimated net worth is around $500 million, with some reports suggesting she is worth even more. She has spent years flipping multi-million-dollar properties, proving that she is far from struggling. Despite this, she positioned herself as a victim of cancel culture rather than someone who had to face the consequences of her actions. This narrative was widely rejected as people saw through her attempt to manipulate public perception. Instead of taking accountability, she continued to portray herself as someone who had been unfairly treated by the industry.
I think everyone should have a chance for reconciliation. I don't think Jesus exempted anybody. And so I do, while it does, because I have been allowed back in, but I don't hold any grievance and resentment. It's very important. And I would just say for Ellen, the resentment, you have to know, you have to get over resentment to whatever addiction or addictive qualities happen. To get over it, you have to deal with resentment and address it. And then otherwise you're going to fall back into the same pattern. And I think also to admit your mistakes.
Of all people on earth to be feeling sorry for herself, Ellen DeGeneres should not be on the list.
She should at least, but make a real apology and do it.
There's no apology. It's just woe is me. I was run out of Hollywood as she speaks from this grandiose stage on Netflix.
Rob Schneider had a personal message for Ellen, urging her to reflect on her actions rather than blame others. He emphasized the importance of acknowledging and overcoming resentment, rather than continuing a cycle of denial. According to Schneider, if Ellen wanted any real redemption, she needed to take genuine responsibility and offer a sincere apology, not just one crafted for damage control. He highlighted that true change required self-awareness, something that Ellen had yet to show. His remarks resonated with many who felt that her so-called apologies lacked authenticity and were merely an attempt to salvage her public image. Instead of taking Schneider's advice, Ellen used her Netflix special as a way to mock the situation. She sarcastically addressed the controversy, claiming that she was kicked out of show business for being mean.
Hello, you haven't been canceled if you are doing a Netflix special. She got $20 million for the one before this. I'm sure she's fine.
I'm sure she's fine.
This dismissive attitude only reinforced the belief that she had learned nothing from the ordeal. The problem was never just about her being mean. It was about the toxic work culture she allowed to flourish behind the scenes. Her response suggested that she still did not take the allegations seriously, choosing instead to laugh them off and continue pretending she was the real victim. Rosie O'Donnell, another well-known television personality, shared her own disappointing experience with Ellen.
But why were you never a guest on Ellen's show during its 20-year run? Were you really never?
Never.
Did they not ask?
No.
Really?
No, like we had a little bit of a weird thing, and after my show went off the air and hers was coming on the air, Larry King was on with Ellen, and he said, "Whatever happened to Rosie O'Donnell? Her show went down the tubes. She came out as a lesbian and disappeared." And Ellen said, and I'm quoting, "I don't know, Rosie. We're not friends." And I was in bed with Kelly, and I went, did I just hear that? Or was that like a hallucination auditory voice in my... No, and that's what happened. And it hurt my feelings like a baby, and I never really got over it. And so...
But they also never asked you to come on.
Well, no. They asked me once at the end, towards the end. I was going to go on for SMILF, but I wanted to bring someone with me because I thought it might be a little less awkward.
Right.
And they didn't want to do that.
When Ellen's talk show was rising in popularity, she distanced herself from Rosie in a way that felt personal. During an interview with Larry King, Ellen outright stated that she was not friends with Rosie, which deeply hurt Rosie's feelings. Despite being in the same industry and facing similar struggles as openly gay women in Hollywood, Ellen's treatment of Rosie felt cold and unnecessary. Rosie admitted that she never fully recovered from the incident, showcasing another example of Ellen's dismissive and unkind behavior.
Yeah, disingenuous.
Disgenerous. That's disgenerous. Well, I think you should, there's certainly no lack of, I don't sense any humility
No.
in that.
No, and no one cares that now she's dealing with chickens. It's like, all right,
You're a normal $450 million
Right.
person.
And by the way, I guarantee you she's
Who's
worth
taking
a
care
lot
of her
more.
chickens? I guarantee. What's that? You guarantee what?
She's worth a lot more
yeah,
than
yeah.
$450 million.
Her art alone.
And like those talk show hosts.
Her devil worshipping art alone.
It's just, it's too much. I can't stand these rich celebrities who want us to feel sorry for them. We don't, right? It's like all those you saw, like Julia Roberts on the Oprah special with Kamala Harris. Like, oh, and Meryl Streep. Like,
I know, winning over the hearts of people who live in gated communities everywhere.
Ultimately, Ellen's downfall is a reflection of how Hollywood operates. It is a cutthroat industry where many individuals prioritize power and status over genuine relationships. Ellen's actions were not an anomaly. Rather, they were a symptom of a larger issue within the entertainment world. However, in an age where people have more access to inside stories through social media, celebrities are held more accountable than ever before. Had Ellen shown true humility and made amends in a sincere way, the conversation surrounding her would be very different today. Instead, she chose to dismiss the criticism, solidifying her reputation as out of touch and insincere. Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.